The first step in analysis of a structure is to understand the type of a structure. There are two different types of a structure. One is truss and one is frame. And there are two different techniques for analyzing these two different scenarios. So if it's a truss, you apply one technique, and if it's in a frame structure, you apply another technique. Now, how do you determine what kind of a structure it is? If the structure is consist of a bunch of triangles, then that we call a truss. For example, the roof truss, the transmission line tower, their arrangement of some triangles. So we call them as truss if they are arranged in triangles. In this kind of arrangement, the member only face tension and compression, and that's why it's also called two-force member, because there is only two different types of force. Either a particular member is in compression or in tension. So this city stay, for example, or this chain stay, either it can have tension or compression, no other loading. However, if you look at this crane on the right corner, this boom arm is lifted up and down by this cylinder right here. So this cylinder pushes up and down. So this boom does not necessarily face much tension or compression. It actually faces some kind of shear force, bending moment, which we'll discuss later in the mechanics of material chapters. However, it's not a triangular arrangement. This bicycle frame, for example, to understand a little bit more, you see that the seat tube, right, this actually facing, there is another piece welded here. So it faces a significant amount of push in the middle. So it has a tension, compression, also a push in the middle. So if something connected in the middle like this tower crane, those type of structure, we call them frame, not truss. And then you apply frame techniques for analyzing the forces. In some scenario, for example, this bicycle, the red one on the left, this is a pure triangle. So this is a perfect truss example. However, you can see this is not a complete triangle. I mean, you can assume they're very close to a triangle. However, they're not a pure triangle like the roof truss or the transmission lines. So these you can still probably consider close to a triangle. Then you can solve this bicycle as a truss. Now, typically bicycle, they are called frames, so they are actually frame. If just one member faces loading somewhere in the middle, so it's not just a pure tension and compression, the entire frame will be considered, entire structure will be considered as frame. If it's just one member face multiple load, not just two force, load and compression. So for example, this bicycle, for example, the right one, the gray one, of course, is a frame because it has only one triangle right here, which you still can solve as a truss, but the seat tube, the top tube, the bottom tube, they're all the fork, they're all a perfect example for frames. So it should be actually analyzed as a frame. But however, for a simple bicycle made of two triangles, you can, if you just consider this bicycle frame with a two triangle, then you can actually solve as a truss. However, typically, if it's in theory, all these bicycles would be solved as a frame, and truss will only be consisted of triangles. Another assumption that trusses are pinned connection, hinge connection, not necessarily welded like this bicycle, but you can relax that assumption a little bit. You really don't have to be too stressed about. Ideally, they're not really, if in practically, sorry, these roof trusses, they're not like a pure pin connection. They are close, I would say, between pin and welded, but they're not fully frictionless pins. This transmission line also the same, the transmission towers. they're not necessarily just a triangle, but they are, a pin connected, frictionless pin. They're actually, I would say, close to a welding. It has a little bit of that, bending moment coming. So they're not a pure two-force member. However, you can just simply say, if it's just few some arrangement of triangles, you can use that as a truss. If it's not, if just one of them is not look like a triangle, then you can treat that as a frame.